In this video, we're going to review the Giant Talon E3. Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. You know, once again, Andrew and I have the opportunity to review some really cool bikes, and this time we have the Giant Talon E3. This is one of Giant's entry-level e-bikes, and this bike is a whole lot of fun, and it is affordable for the e-bike market, and it is on loan to us from our good friends at Truly Spoken. Truly Spoken is our local Giant dealership, and they are a very family-friendly store. They're very knowledgeable in all things that have to do with bikes. They're great mechanics and just all around good people, as well as have a great supply of bikes. Alright, so as I mentioned, this is one of Giant's entry-level e-bikes, and I like what their website says. It says, "The trail is calling." Well, this is the perfect bike for that. It is a smooth, balanced, just fun to ride bike that has plenty of control and lots of power at your feet. Alright, as some of you already know, I always like to start off with what I call the aesthetics of the bike. And what I mean by that is, how does this bike look, how does it ride, and how does it feel? That's really the first thing that anybody wants to know is, does it look good and does it ride well? And so indeed, first thing off the bat, this bike looks great. Giant always does an outstanding job, as I've mentioned many times before, in their design department. And here you have their standard Alux aluminum hydroformed tubing that just has really good welds, has beautiful shape to it. I love the color, and it just is a well-built bike. It has really smooth lines, and the battery is well integrated with the electric motor, with everything, the shocks, everything just looks really well done, and you can tell it is a great quality bike. The way a bike looks is one thing, but the most important thing is how a bike rides and how it feels. So I had an opportunity to take this bike out and ride it on some of our single track mountain bike trails, as well as some of our asphalt trails and some gravel. And this bike is a lot of fun. Well, that was a whole lot of fun, and I really enjoyed this bike out on the trail. It was very comfortable, it's very stable and smooth, and just a real joy to ride. And so it is a great bike for just riding in the trails. Now, Giant lists this bike with its mountain bikes. And I've had the opportunity to review one of their other mountain bikes in the e-bike, and that was the Giant Stance in the e-bike. And that is a full suspension bike, and I took this bike on the same trail that I tested that bike on. and I can definitely tell a difference between the hardtail, obviously with the suspension, but you can really tell a difference also just in the handling. They have different length wheelbases on them, and so you can tell by the way that this bike handled, the way that it felt was just really different. And I was pushing this bike pretty hard, probably on some trails that it didn't really belong on, but it really helped me see the difference, and it really accentuated the idea that this is a trail bike. And so if you're going to take this bike out on the trails just to go out and ride in the forest, to go out and ride gravel, to go out and ride on paved trails, this is a great bike for on and off road. You can't talk about e-bikes without talking about the drivetrain, and the first major component in the drivetrain, of course, is the motor. And this comes with Yamaha's Sync Drive core motor that has 50 Newton meters of torque and is just a very smooth and reliable motor. There's been several reviews done on different types of motors for e-bikes between Bosch and Yamaha and all the different ones, and Yamaha always gets high marks and is just a very high quality motor, and you can feel it whenever you ride this bike. The pedal assist is very smooth. You have several different levels to choose from, and it is a very natural feel versus something like throttle or anything else where it kind of overpowers you to some degree. This has a very, very smooth and natural feel to it. The Yamaha motor is paired up with a 400 watt-hour energy pack that is side released and is integrated into the frame. Its charge capacity lasts up to 93 miles in ideal conditions and is very easy to charge with its 3 amp smart charger that has charge indicators on the back of the unit. As far as the components that are paired up with this bike, it has an FSA Comet e-bike crankset with an FSA Megatooth Steel 1x36 tooth chainring. Now the website says that this is supposed to have the Shimano Alivio M3100 9-speed, but this particular bike has the Advent 9-speed derailleur on it, and it also was supposed to come with Shimano 9-speed shifters, but this has the Microshift Trail Pro shifters on it. Now the Microshift index shifters are very comfortable, and you can change gears both up and down with your thumb, but the one thing that I noticed was that one of the levers was basically in front of my thumb, and I would hit it sometimes coming back out of it or trying to just fumble around to get the first one. One of the special components that comes with an e-bike is its controller, and this comes with the Giant Ride Control 1 dash controller. Now this controller has a color display. It is very intuitive with the buttons labeled very clearly and within thumb's reach. It's easy to operate, and it has the different levels as well as the different metrics that you can scroll through and change. Let's take a quick look at the suspension on this bike. It comes with SR Suntour's XCM ATB 29er fork that provides 100 millimeters of travel and is perfect for smoothing out rides on most trails. These are coil loaded with a preload adjuster, which gives you a little bit more variation on the feel. So now let's take a look at the tires, wheels, and hubs of the Giant Talon E3. The Giant Talon E3 has nice and wide Maxxis Recon 29 by 2.4 inch tires. They're perfect for a variety of terrains and trail types, and it's a good quality tire with a lot of grip. Now these are mounted on Giant's GXO 3V rims and their E-Tracker Sport hubs, which have quick release axles in the front and in the back. The Giant Talon e-bike comes with Tektron's HD M275 hydraulic disc brakes, which has 180 millimeter rotors on the front with 160 millimeter rotors on the back. And these I found to be just perfectly sufficient for the trail riding that I did. I never had any issues with stoppage. You just can't beat hydraulic disc brakes. And for a heavy e-bike, this seemed to do the job just fine. Alright, so now let's take a look at the cockpit area. What I mean by that is the seat and the handlebars, the pedals, the stem, everything that the rider will interact with. The seat is Giant's Contact Saddle, which is pretty comfortable and is mounted on a 30.9 millimeter 2-bolt micro-adjustable forged aluminum seat post. This also comes with Giant's Connect TR riser handlebar that is between 690 to 750 millimeters depending on the size of the frame, which is a pretty basic handlebar but certainly sufficient for maneuvering the bike on any trail. This also comes with Giant's basic contact stem, And I recommend that you upgrade the pedals to some nice wide platform pedals with some cleats on them. Alright, so one of the other things I would like to do is give you some real world heads up things about this bike. First of all, this is a great bike, and if I was going to be buying this bike, I don't want to hear anybody say something negative about the bike. So let me just give you some heads up things. I was out riding this bike and I was pushing it back, and I put my hands on the handlebars and I had my hand on the ride control dash controller and I snapped it. I mean, come on, Giant. Now that is a design issue there. So with the way that it's cantilevered out, you have to be really careful that you don't snap that little piece of plastic, because I mean, this thing's going to be out in the forest. People are going to be riding trails. So before you leave the shop, you might have the bike shop maybe prop that up or do something to prevent that, or just be super careful knowing that you can break it real easy like I did on a brand new bike. Another thing that I happened to notice was that my full-size water bottle would not fit in this medium-sized frame in the bottle cage, and so I just had to get a smaller water bottle to be able to put in there, and it's nice and snug, so it's not going to come out. A third thing that I noticed is whenever I was going over a lot of roots or any kind of uneven ground, there'd be a whole lot of chatter coming from the bike. Now, there are a lot of moving parts. There's a lot to these bikes, and so it could be the battery, it could be things with the motor. It does have quick release axles on it, so I mean, there's a whole lot of different things that could cause chatter. But just be aware of that's probably normal, and just look for things that maybe you can tighten up as you're riding. And then last but not least, when you're riding a regular bike, you are pedaling so much that it is putting you more upright or pushing you up so that you don't have as much pressure on your hands on a flat handlebar. Well, with the e-bike, you have that pedal assist, and so you wind up being able to lean forward more, and you wind up putting more pressure on your hands than you would on a regular bike. So I would recommend getting some really good gloves and maybe even some very cushioned handlebar grips, so that way it's a lot more comfortable for your riding. Alright guys, so there you have it, my review of the Giant Talon E3 e-bike. This is a great bike that if you're looking for a trail bike, or if you're wanting a bike that you can go off-road, maybe go ride gravel, or even paved trails, this is a great entry-level bike for that. And for the money that you pay, you get good quality components, it is very well built, and it's from a manufacturer that you can trust. And so I hope that this has been a useful and informative video for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.